right, good morning. Can everybody hear me? Okay, we're good. Okay, try to use my coaching voice. So basically, I'm going to talk a little bit about just kind of bringing every program together. Hopefully I can give you some ideas. I've been doing this for 21 years, my 21st year. I've been a lot of different places, so I'll kind of go over that just to kind of give you an idea of, I've worn a lot of these hats. So I'll kind of talk about each hat, and then hopefully you get something to bring back and say, well, that's a good idea. I can start, if we do this, maybe we can start getting closer together. Okay? Because again, in my experience, sometimes you get into a situation where it's not great. People aren't working together. You got coaches over here. You got strength coaches over here. It's just all over the place. The goal is to come together and be as one. Okay? Because the reality is also we share athletes. Okay? And how we do that, especially at Osceola, we have most of our athletes play 3 sports. So I'll kind of go into that. I'll talk about myself just a little bit. So this 21st year, I was in Papillion for 10 years. I grew up in Omaha. I played college baseball, coached college baseball, coached a lot of different sports through my years here. Was a strength coach at Papillion. Kind of switched gears and then went and worked with kind of kids in need for 4 or 5 years. Then needed to get back in the weight room. So then I spent 4 years at Adams Central as a strength coach, and then the last 2 years I've been at Osceola as a strength coach and the athletic director. Okay, so I've kind of fallen into kind of the perfect opportunity, perfect job, right? That AD and strength coach. Kind of a weird combination, but I'll take it. And then that's my family over there. And then there's my dog drooling. So that's probably enough about me. I got a lot of different certifications along the way. Again, I have lots of certifications, but I find like these are probably the best things to go to because you just learn the most. And you have like-minded people around you, and that's where you learn. Okay. So basically what I'm talking about is how can we start to get every program on the same page. I talked 2 or 3 years ago on building or creating buy-in. Okay, so that's kind of the first step. I'm not going to go in a lot. Like this is part of that. If you want that presentation, I can give that to you. That's more of just how do you create buy-in within your program, and then this is more of how do you get programs together buying into your program as well. So they kind of go hand in hand. So if you're kind of in the first stages, let's say you're in like the first year of your program or second year, you're still probably trying to create that buy-in, right? And that's really important because if you don't have that buy-in from kids first, it's not going to happen. Okay. Then the second part, if you don't have it from coaches, it's going to be a really hard sell. Okay. So you really got to think about, okay, how can I create buy-in? How can I get kids on my bus? How can I get coaches on my bus? Right. And there are ways to do that. But again, I talked about that in another presentation. So if you want that, I'll send that to you. So basically, we're going to talk about kind of common verbiage, common goals, common leadership terms, sharing athletes, common assessments, shared documents, volume, etc. So how can we all start talking this common language, right? Because a lot of times, as a strength coach, you're kind of on an island, right? Does everybody feel like that sometimes? Oh my gosh, I got all this, I got this, I got this. These coaches have no idea, they don't understand. How can we get them involved to help everybody? And really what we're trying to do is help kids, right? That's why we're here. So what are some things we can do as teachers and coaches? Again, I taught for 20 years. Been doing this for a while. How can we do it as strength coaches? And then what can your administration start to do to bring programs together? So hopefully after this presentation, you can go back to your administration and be like, hey, there's a couple good ideas here. Maybe we should do this, okay? Or your coaches and start kind of bringing them together, okay? If you get 1 or 2 ideas, I always say it's worth your while, okay? And you can tell me I'm full of it. I don't care. Okay, so here's these are just some common issues or common quotes I put up there. If you shake your head, I'm like, you probably know these, okay? That's just the football lifting program, right? How many of you have heard that one? He or she only cares about his or her sport. I want my team together now, right? So we have a lot of coaches who, they want to start practicing, right? They want their team together, but all their kids play football or all their kids are in a different sport. They want them together. Again, these are probably issues that you've probably heard. Well, they just lift weights. Okay, you ever hear the old like, well, they're just lifting weights, right? Well, it's way more than that. Okay, we need to build more leadership. This is a common one that I've heard, and actually, this is one thing I'm working on as an athletic director is to try to bring everybody together where we have some common terms and common language in terms of leadership. Okay, we have coaches, and I'm sure you've probably heard coaches that like, well, we don't have any leadership. Like, no one knows how to lead. Well, are you teaching it? Right? Like, no one teaches it, right? So I'm trying to get our coaches in the classroom. Let's start teaching. Let's start giving some lessons on what it looks like to be a good leader. Like, they don't know. Our kids don't know. You tell them to go lead, and what they do? They start yelling at people, right? That's not leadership, okay? So that's a big one where I've heard coaches say this multiple times. We need more leadership. Our kids don't know how to lead. Okay, well, we got to teach them, okay? And that's what we're working on at Osceola. We need more time to work on skills. Like, I hear that all the time. Like, we don't have enough time for skills. Why would we go in the weight room when we could go to the gym? Football gets all the money and attention. We need to play 30 games this summer, and you need to be committed, right? Like, the summer is always, well, we got to play 50 games this summer, right? We got to do this, we got to do this. Kids are doing 800 things. I'm the only one, and this is from the strength coach point of view. I've been on this island. I'm the only one in the weight room. Where are the coaches, right? I'm here trying to work with all the kids and the athletes. There's no coaches, right? And that's a big one. That's what I'm going to talk about a little bit here is how can we create more of that? No one cares or is buying in. I cannot do this alone. Kids don't want to be here, right? So how many times have you heard a lot of these things in the last year or two or in your job right now? And hopefully we can create some solutions to these. Okay, so as a teacher or a sports coach, so basically I taught English for 4 years. I was a SPED teacher for 2 or 3 years. I've taught PE. I've been a strength coach. Like, I've worn a lot of these hats, right? So here's what, from my point of view, if you're a teacher or a sports coach, here's what I would do, and here's what I would try to get your coaches to do. And again, it's not going to happen overnight, but start having some of these conversations. So support your team any way you can. So get in the weight room and learn. This is what I did when I first started. I got in the weight room. I wanted to learn. I wanted to support kids and what we're doing, right? And hopefully you have coaches that are doing that. And if you do have coaches that are doing that, build on that, okay? Make those your people, okay? I always, when I was, again, as a strength coach, those are my people, right? Those are the people I'm going to take care of because they bought in, and then more people will start buying in. What can you learn from your strength coach? Again, there's a lot of coaches that think they know a lot of things in the weight room. Again, there's a reason why we're the strength coaches, okay? So feel confident, be confident in your program. If you know what you're doing and feel good about it, then you need to get out there, you need to talk about it, and sell your program, okay? And again, as a teacher or a coach, I want to learn. How can you incorporate exercise into your warm-up or practice? So this is another thing that I've worked a lot with teachers and coaches are just, okay, why does all this have to be in the weight room, okay? Why can't you do it in your practice? Okay, so when I was a coach, I would incorporate a lot of these things in my practice, okay? So like baseball-wise, we do a lot of prehab exercises. We do a lot of throwing. We do a lot of the things that we did in the weight room, but we did in practice, okay? So I would say the one thing is if you go back or if you're a coach, see how you can incorporate some of these in your practice. It doesn't just have to be in the weight room. Again, I'd say that a lot, and it's still, the reality is a lot of coaches are just like, we got to go. We got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this. Well, the reality is, do you want them better movers? Do you want them better athletes? Then you should probably put this in your program, okay? And again, that's what I did as a teacher and a coach. And if you have those teachers and coaches, just feed them, right? Feed them, help them out, okay? Example, volleyball, at Adams Central, we got little weighted balls, like 2 or 3 pound balls, okay? What do we often do in volleyball? Swing, 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 right? Lots of volume. Coaches don't think about that, okay? So what do we do instead? Well, let's take 5 minutes of practice or 2 minutes of practice and do some arm care the other way, not swinging, okay? Then how many times, so here's what I would do with the coach. I asked, and she was great. How many times are you swinging in practice? Okay, I just want you to count. She did, and it was up for 50 to 60 swings. Okay, we think about that, and then we think about baseball. Well, when we throw 80 pitches, when does that pitcher pitch again? 4 or 5 days, right? So we're constantly swinging, swinging, swinging. How can we incorporate some of these things to help our arm care, right? So she did. She started doing some of that, and it helped. So those are some examples of, hey, as a teacher and a sports coach, what can I do to incorporate? Again, we don't want kids injured. Why is it always the strength coach or me or in the weight room, okay? How can you incorporate, again, think about pre-ab exercise, talk about that. And then what's your team goal? Like, I always sit down with teachers and coaches and say, what's your team goal? Like, what do you see on the field? Talk to them, have conversations. This is how, you bring people together because they know that you're trying to help them. But as a teacher and a coach, use your strength coach. Okay, if you're not a strength coach, then again, use them. Like they're knowledgeable. Again, how do you want to play? Like I've talked to, like at Papillion, we had a lot of good athletes, but we had no size, right? So we spread them out. We're 5 wide. Okay, that's going to affect how we're going to train also. Okay, because we need to be fast. We're not going to move. We're not going to out physical anybody. We got to move. Okay, so get on the same page, right? So again, as a coach, you got to start talking. You got to start having these conversations with your strength coach and know how you want to play. And again, sometimes you don't get to play that way because the hand that you're dealt is just not going to happen, right? So you got to adjust. Got to communicate always. Get to know what athletes are doing in the weight room. Again, as a teacher, coach, like just get in there, right? And kids love to see you in there as a coach, right? And then what do kids do on game days? Like I've always have, I was always asking like, hey, what are we doing on game days? Like make sure, like once your coaches feel good with you as a strength coach or as a coach, like they know that you're not going to, 1 rep max. You're not going to, on game days, you're not like before the game, 1 day before, you're not doing like, if they trust you and feel good about what you're doing, they're going to start, again, you're going to build that relationship, okay? So again, that's a big one because a lot of coaches are always curious, well, what are you doing on game days? What are you doing this? Like, okay, well, how many times are you swinging during volleyball? Or how many times are you doing this? Like, there's a good chance that the kids aren't sore because of the weight room. They're sore because of what you're doing in practice. But anyways, that's another one. And then what are kids doing a day before? So like in our weight room, and this I've done this for a long time, is you just have a green, red, yellow. Okay, it's just and a lot of you probably use it. If you want it, I'll send it to you. But it's basically green is 2 days before. We're doing everything the normal workout. Yellow is you cut everything or 50% or cut everything in half basically. Okay, so reps are in half, and then game day it's you cut everything in half and you cut the last set off. So you might go 2 sets of 2, 2 sets of 2, do a couple auxiliary things or whatever we're working on. That's it. Okay, that's all we're doing. Like it's and our volume is low anyways. So again, if coaches know that, that's one way to really create that buy-in from coaches also. But they got to feel confident in what you're doing, and you got to tell them what you're doing. Okay, and I'll show you ways to do that. Again, be an advocate for the weight room training. Get on the same page. I had a lot of, and you probably heard this too. How many kids are like, well, I got a game today. Well, it's JV or it's freshman. Like, sorry, I'm trying not to be insensitive, but I don't care about that, right? I care about varsity sports. So we're training, we're still doing this. And again, get coaches on that bus, right? And they would probably agree with you. Okay? They should. How are you keeping kids healthy? Again, that's a big part of just being a coach is what are you doing to keep kids healthy? It's not just about the weight room. The other thing is if we start talking about conversations of volume, right? Like look at your volume. And if you talk to coaches about this, that's a hard conversation, but it needs to be had, right? Because a lot of times our kids are doing way too much, right? The volume is super high. They come in the weight room, they're just depleted. And I'm not going to make them more tired, right? But just start having those conversations. Give your strength coach gear. So if you're a coach in here and you like the weight room and you're buying it, give them gear, right? I want gear. I want to wear it. So that's a big one. Just I have volleyball sweatshirts. I have football sweatshirts. You name it, I'm going to wear it, right? And I'm gonna do that for your program. But that's another one. Like treat the strength coach as your coaching staff. Okay. Conditioning weeks again this is a big one that I've done the last probably 7 or 8 years that I've been doing this. Is the NSAA likes to, I don't really understand why they do this, but they give coaches that really don't have a background in strength conditioning a week of, hey, I got to beat the shit out of my players. Sorry, I shouldn't cuss. But like that's what happens, right? They have a week of, oh yeah, it's just conditioning week. Oh goodness, you just gave coaches like the right to just not to beat down kids, basically. So what I've done in the last 7 or 8 years is I run those. Okay, I run the conditioning weeks. We're just getting the body ready for competition. Okay, and the season is long. Okay, so it doesn't really matter that first week where we're at. We're just kind of getting them moving, and it's short. Kids like it. They leave with a smile. They're not puking. That's what we want. Okay, and that's a hard one to sell. But if you can do it, get in charge of that. Okay, or just give some ideas. Okay, assessments again. If you can do some of these, also like a lot of coaches are curious about a lot of these like assessments. Like, what are we running? What's our 10-yard? What's our miles per hour? What's our change of direction? Like, what? Again, these are conversations that coaches you can talk about. Like, these are good. This is good information, right? This is valid data. Specific things your athlete's going to improve on based on assessment. So maybe as a coach, you look at the data and you're kind of like, wow, our team's speed is not very good, right? Or we're changing direction. It's not very good. Like we probably need to have kind of a team goal, like kind of like you do in education, right? You have a goal. Why aren't we doing this as a coach? Like, what's your goal? Okay, well, let's work on it. Let's work together to do this. Okay. And then share the data, communicate with the athletes, include strength coach's name on state shirts. That's pretty cool if you do that. And then any injuries, like if you got injuries, just communicate with the coach, but also communicate with the strength coach. Okay, so there's this again, as a coach, like that person in the weight room is that's your person. Okay, use that person to help you. Okay. There shouldn't be this divide. There shouldn't be a divide in terms of I'm a sports coach over here, I'm a basketball coach, and then the strength coach. No, we're together. Like, we're trying to help. We're on the same page, trying to do the same thing. Okay, and as a coach, we got to just buy into that that sports coach or that strength coach and use them. Okay, which is kind of hard for coaches, especially if they've been coaching for 20, 25 years and they think they know it all, right? So that's a tough one. But just you can start having those conversations. So as a strength coach, okay, so that was kind of as a teacher coach what you can do. As a strength coach, again, I'm not as good as this. I used to be better, but get on social media, recognize them. Just recognize kids, right? Kids love that. Again, I wouldn't get on. I've kind of gotten away from social media just because I get on there and it seems like it's kind of like patting yourself on the back. Look at me. Look at what I'm doing. Like, I don't care. I want to see the kids, right? Or you get people on there that like to ridicule people, and that's just, I don't really love that either. But if you can just recognize kids, recognize their accomplishments. I've seen a lot of like lifters of the month. Like, that is awesome. Like, that's part of kind of bringing programs together. Okay. One common theme that the most competitive teams have, and this is, I will tell you, in my 21 years, weight room attendance and coaches attendance. Okay. Our best teams everywhere I've been, coaches have bought in, kids have bought in. It's been just a one. We're one. Okay. Probably 95%. I will tell you, when I was at Papillion, I think we won like 6 or 7 state championships in a row in softball. We had incredible talent. They didn't really go to the weight room. It was nothing that I was doing. They were just crazy athletic and crazy good. I think one year we had like 7 Division I athletes on one team. So sometimes you're going to get those, and that's awesome. But for the most part, most competitive teams are also going to be in the weight room. Like, they're going to buy in. Okay, 95% of the time. Meet with every sport coach. So I spend time with every sport coach. I did it at Adams Central. I did it at Papillion. I do it now. Meet with them. Okay, what are their goals? Like, this is part of bringing them together. Okay, if they know that you are in it for them and their kids, they're gonna buy in. Okay, talk about the programs, how they like to play, what they would like to see more in the weight room. Ask them what they think a good lifting or speed programs look like. This also gives you an idea of what they know. Okay, so you'll get a pretty good idea, okay, of just having that conversation of, does this person know what they're talking about, or like the weight room and some of the things that I'm talking about, is it foreign, okay? And then communicate this to your AD administration. You might get some extra time to meet during the day or building. I've done this where the administration lets me meet with coaches, okay? Because there's not a lot of time, right? And you don't want to go and take their planned time or anything like that. So again, during in-service day, go meet with coaches, right? And I've done that. We've got that in the in-service, okay? So that's another pretty good idea. Just get your administration to help you meet with coaches and get on the same page, okay? And again, a good administration will allow you to do that, okay? Sell your program, all athletes. Again, I've talked about this before. Sports specific is usually about 10%. Okay, everything else we build athletes. Okay, and we got kids that play 3 sports. Like at sports specific, yes, we can add some of that, but it's on top of kind of what we're doing for the athlete. Okay, so this idea of like you can sell it to a coach. I've had to do that before, where I'm like, yeah, we're going to do this and this and this, but in the end, we're really just building athletes. But if they think that it's building their program and it's for them, then that's okay. Okay, but sell it. Again, you got to sell your program to administration. If you got to get out there, you can't be afraid to get out there and sell it. Right? This is what we're doing. Feel good about it. These are the improvements that we've made. Share it with parents. Share it with the administration. Like that's going to help you bring those programs in. Sell it to parents. Again, parents, if they believe in what you're doing, you're gonna be all right. Okay. Best teams, again, see coaches and players in the weight room working together as a common bond. Give gear to coaches too. All the coaches that I work with get gear. Okay? Like, give it to them. That's how you sell your brand also. Okay. So if you want people to wear, Osceola Strength and Conditioning, Osceola Strength and Speed, we have Bulldog, whatever. Make your shirts. I have kids help make shirts. Give them to coaches. Okay, get it out there. Okay, sell your brand. Find a way to get coaches paid in the weight room, and this is a big one for me. We're in the era where coaches aren't going to show up. Well, not very many aren't going to show up for free. Okay, so you got to talk to your administration, talk to AD, get them paid. Okay, whether it be $20 an hour, $20 a session, $30, whatever, it's something. Okay, they need to be paid if they're going to help, because that's creating that buy-in, and you're taking care of them. Okay, our football coach at Adams Central, who's actually the head now, but he was an assistant. He was there all the time. I think he made close to $2,000 in the summer just by being there with me. Okay, yes, thank you. Like, take care of them. Take care of them. Again, summer t-shirts, summer sweatshirts. I've talked about this before also. Get your booster club involved also. Okay, so our booster club buys us all our summer sweatshirts, all our summer t-shirts. They buy us protein bars. They buy us shakes. You're going to find that your booster club is more willing to help strength and conditioning because they're helping everybody in the school, okay? As opposed to if I'm just helping a basketball program or a football program. If I am in the weight room, if I'm helping the weight room, I'm helping everybody, okay? So get your booster club involved. If nothing else, go back to your school and make that happen, because they're willing to do it. And they give us probably around $8,000 to $10,000 a year. Okay, just for sweatshirts, t-shirts, bars, like just to take care of kids. Okay, and kids love sweatshirts. Talked about it before. They just love sweatshirts. Like, I don't know how many times in the summer, oh, I'm getting that sweatshirt. Okay, cool. And they were there 100%. Again, in the summer, also just have a built-in makeup day. We always have a built-in makeup day. You're doing this for kids, and have a makeup day. Like, you want them to have 100% attendance, then absolutely. Get the 6th graders and 7th graders involved this summer. If there's a way you can do this, again, this is part of just kind of building that program and getting some of those programs together as well. So I work with middle school kids on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Sometimes it's before school, sometimes it's after school. It just kind of depends on their schedule. Practice time, we're small enough where I can do that. At Adams Central, I just worked with kids in the morning, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. But get those kids involved. I always send a parent letter home. So in 6th grade, or whatever they're in elementary, send a parent letter home. Get your parents involved. Get everybody involved. You're gonna get people involved. Okay. You can't just be on an island and expect people to come to you. You got to get out there and really sell your program. That's how you're going to bring programs together. Okay. Bottom line. And then get the kids early. and then focus on like athletic attributes, improvement, what are kids going to gain, etc. Again, in the last years, I've been big on leadership, right? Like include that in your curriculum. Like that, we do that once a week in the weight room. Maybe not once a week, but once a month for sure. Just we go in the classroom and talk about some leadership and just lessons. Like they got to learn. Like the kids don't know how to lead, and if our sports coaches aren't doing it, we got to do it. Okay. Start teaching about what you do on in-service day. I would actually teach a lesson. Like so, I got to do like an RPR session. Got to take some people in the weight room and take them through a little workout. But do it. Like during an in-service, get your staff involved. Okay. When we did the RPR, coach was kind of like, "Oh my gosh, what the hell is this?" Right? And then you do some of the tests. Anybody, are you familiar with RPR? Right. So, again, that's just an example. So if you don't do it, that's fine. But it's just an example of, hey, get coaches and teachers in, or have a session where you're working with them. That's a pretty powerful thing. Okay. And if you can get your administration to give you 20 minutes or 30 minutes as part of that, that's good. That's good stuff. I always have a spot to talk, and I always had a spot at Adams Central, at Papillion, kind of demand to talk at coaches meetings. Okay, so as an AD, we have coaches meetings. Again, I'm not going to waste people's time, but when we do have coaches meetings, I'm the strength coach too, so I get to talk. But talk to your AD. Talk. Be a part of the coaches meeting. 5 minutes. Just always be a part. Hey, this is what we're doing in the weight room. Sell it. These are some upcoming things. Are there any issues or any things we need to talk about? Okay. Because again, in the end, as a strength coach, you're kind of the heartbeat of the school. Okay. And that's a real thing. Share upcoming conferences with your sports coaches. Again, take them with you. Like I love taking coaches with me to conferences if they want to go. Okay. The football coach and I at Adams Central a couple years ago went to go see Preston Peterson up at Mount Vernon, Iowa. He was, oh my gosh, this is amazing, right? So once sports coaches go see some of these things and start going to conferences, then they start buying in a little bit more. Okay? It's not just lifting weights. There's a lot more to it. Okay? And then, again, condition boys and girls together. We do that together. Like it brings their programs together, just boys and girls. Again, there's often this, well, we're separate. No, we're together. Okay? And start doing that commonality. Always offer support and ideas, 5-10 minutes of rehab exercises to incorporate in practices, footwork drills, etc. Again, I've gone to practices. You can go to sports coaches' practices and just see, and then just offer maybe some support and say, hey, what about this? Or do you need like maybe some prehab exercises here? Maybe you can include. Some coaches will like it, some don't. But it's good to be there. And then the last one, this is hard. Some programs are starting to figure this out. Some aren't. So if you're coaching 3 sports and you're a strength coach, like that's a really tough deal. But if you can be a strength coach only, high schools are starting to figure some of this out because you're the glue. You're the glue that's going to bring programs together. Okay. So if you don't have to coach any sports and you can just be the strength coach and work with all the athletes, that's the ideal situation. Okay. Unfortunately, it's not in a lot of high schools, but I'm hoping that we can get there. Okay, that would be the goal.
I'm Brandon Herring. I'm at Hewitt-Trussville High School right outside of Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm the weights guy there. You know, funny enough, I sent a direct message to Garrett Keith. I just happened to run by him, and you know, I didn't even know anything about the NHSSCA, and I sent him a direct message, going to talk to him, ask him a question, and I didn't know. You know how it is. You don't know if somebody's going to like respond. Not only did he respond, but he sat there and talked to me on the telephone for an hour and a half. And you know, and he didn't just pitch this during that. He never even said a word about it until after we talked and he helped me with what the question was. And then, you know, we exchanged numbers, and then, you know, the next time that we talked is when he mentioned it. And so just kind of invested in me right there. It's my fourth, and yeah, I mean that's the best thing about it. They do a great job with speakers and those kind of things, but I just got back from going to get coffee with some friends, but then there was two guys that I really don't know, but now I do know, and that's the best part about it. I literally have, at any time, I can call somebody from all over the country, from Florida to California. Joe Morales and I are close, and then Minnesota and anywhere else. So you got a wide range of experiences that people can help you with. Well, that's the big thing to understand is getting around people that do this for a living and they invest time. And I've been around a lot of coaching organizations. I haven't always been a strength coach. I was a sport coach, and I coached college football, and so I've always been a part of coaching organizations. But this one is uniquely different in that people will invest. They will do anything they can to help you, and that's a big thing. That is a huge thing. They will give their shirt off their back for you, and investing in people and making a difference for somebody is a big deal, and because that's what we as coaches are supposed to do for our student athletes, and you should do that for one another.
A couple other, again, weekly emails to staff. Like, I always email what you're doing, right? If you take time to email coaches, all coaches, hey, this is what we're doing in the weight room. This is what happened. Hey, here's some improvements. Look at this. Like, so-and-so ran 20 miles per hour today. Like, that's awesome. Like, improve. So then coaches start talking about it. Kids start talking about it. There you go. Like, everybody's talking about it, right? This was, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. So our who were we playing? St. Cecilia. We're playing. God, I'm gonna get emotional here. So our crowd started doing RPR before playing St. Cecilia. So it's like we had a couple kids leading RPR in the crowd doing RPR. Like, that's awesome, right? Like, that means you're making headway. Like, you're building a lot. Okay, so that was cool. Extra equipment for practice, and I've done this too. Let me get my bearings here. Okay, I'm good now. So if coaches need stuff in the weight room or equipment in the weight room, get it for them. Okay, or in their practice, right? So like the volleyball coach, buy them ball, put that in your budget. Get them some balls. Get them some things that they need. They're going to buy in, right? They got med balls. Our baseball team, we got, I think, 10 or 15 med balls. Buy it for them. Put it in their practices. Go, okay? Again, that's helping you also, okay? So it's not just for the weight room. Buy it for them, okay? Buy it for their programs. And I've been able to do that also. Talk to coaches what they need in the weight room. Like, what do you like? We've had coaches that really like a flip sled, the velocity-based training, Vertimax they were into. Okay, yeah, let's talk about it and let's see if we can get it. Okay, which is pretty cool. Dynamic warm-ups. I've done that before. Go and warm up kids. Okay, so go for 5 minutes, do their practice, warm them up. Okay, pretty awesome. And then I just use that RAMP acronym. Invite admin, coaches, parents to classes or sessions, possible parents' nights. I've had parents come in to do some demonstrations. These are just ways that you can just get people to buy in, okay? Again, go to clinics. You guys are all here, so that's awesome. You can do this during in-service. If you have a good administration, because a lot of the, I don't know how to say it nicely, some of the in-service days don't really pertain to strength coaches, people like PE. So get out there and go learn from someone who you're going to learn from. Okay? And if you have an administration that will help you and you're able to do that, do it. Okay? So I always would talk to our administration, say, hey, can I go here? Can I go here? Can I go here? Go learn from people. Okay? That's going to be a really good deal for you. And then go to all events and all of, like, I go to, as an AD, I got to go to everything, but as a strength coach, I always went to everything, okay? Because I want to see our kids. Like, I want to see everyone, like freshmen, JV. Like, it's not just varsity. Like, that's where we all want to focus on varsity sports and athletics, but like, go see your freshmen, go to the games. Like, that's very powerful, okay? And if you can go to as many as you can as a strength coach, that's also going to tell coaches, hey, that person's, they're into what I'm doing, okay? So if you can, again, I know families and we got other things that we're doing, but if you can go to those events, that's powerful, okay? And then the last part, I don't know where I'm at for time. How are we doing? Okay, I'm good. As an athletic director, again, this is my second year as an AD. I'm trying to, again, this is what I'm trying to do is to help programs get together, okay? We're all one. We're all sharing athletes. How can we do this? How can we come to the board and talk about this, okay? Right now, our girls athletics, we have a lot of good athletes, okay? We just won the state championship last year, track, okay? So our girls are super athletic, but we cannot put it together on the court, okay? Can't put it together on the court. It's just, we're trying to pinpoint it, but guess what? We're meeting about it, and we're trying to come up with solutions. We're trying to teach leadership. We're trying to help. We're trying to come together to help because we share all our athletes. It's not just basketball or volleyball. We share all our athletes. What are you doing to help, or what's working, okay? So as an AD, I want to know, gosh, you're having some success here. What's going on? How can we help, okay? And then again, that leadership piece is key. I just in the last 4 or 5 years, we just have not, again, kids don't know how to lead, and I just don't think many coaches are getting in the classroom. I don't think they're teaching how to lead. And the people who are, it's amazing. You see it, and you see the leadership meetings. Like, I know at Adams Central, our football staff had leadership meetings on Monday. They just talked about how this looked. It was completely different. Like, it's just I think it's very important. Just some common language. Again, I meet with all the boys and girls coaches. We meet one-on-one, so we meet before the year, and then we meet afterwards. But it's not a like evaluation. It's more of just a self-reflection. Okay. So again, to me, to get good at this is you got to look in the mirror. Okay. You can't be afraid to look in the mirror and say, okay, what can I do to get better? Okay. And that's all we do. In terms of just trying to help coaches, is just we self-reflect. What did I do well? What didn't I do well? What can I do better? What are we looking forward to next year? And we just have those conversations. Like, that to me is, as an AD, is just, that's how you're going to help coaches get better and reflect, okay? And then common issues we see, again, we just kind of talk about what are some common issues that we see with just amongst all our sports teams, and then we talk about it, okay? And then how can we all work together? Weekly emails. Again, I don't want to waste anybody's time. Okay, so if we're going to do something, if we're going to have a meeting, that it needs to be worth your time. Okay, so a lot of emails come out. Again, just communicating. Weekly highlights. Like, I always highlight kids in the weight room. Talk about kids, their success. We do a monthly coach of the month, so I highlight coaches once a month, and then we just celebrate improvement and success. Okay, always celebrating improvement and success. And if you can get an athletic director and administration to start helping you with this, I would also say, as a strength coach, just go into your athletic director and just start talking about your ideas. And I guarantee you that your athletic director is going to want to use you, because again, to me, you're the glue that holds all the programs together. Okay, what is the common bond? You see every athlete. Okay, you get to work with every athlete. So as a strength coach in the high school setting, you get an opportunity to actually bring everybody together and do this, okay? Because I think, again, if I'm an athletic director and at a bigger school and I have a strength coach who's really good, like, I'm going to use you as much as I can, okay, to bring everybody together. And how can we get everybody on the same page? Does that make sense? Again, hold coaches accountable. No coaches, again, I know who's in the weight room. Like, I know who's helping with this. set expectations to be in the weight room and communicate with the strength coach. Go to practices, attend weight sessions. Like, you got to be, as an athletic director, you have to be present, right? You can't be in your office. You can't be like, you got to be present. You got to be around. You got to be in it. Okay. So the good athletic directors are in it. They know kids. They get to know kids. Like, I've been around some ADs that just, they hang out in their office and they got all this stuff. And you got to get out there with kids. You got to get out there with coaches, and see what's going on. Again, meet with every coach. We go over that. Again, sharing athletes. How many of you are at a small school? Small school? Have you run into this? How we share athletes? Like, that's a big deal. Like, so. Again, as an athletic director, it's a little easier just because I can talk with people. But as a strength coach, like, you know that, so you just have to. To me, it's, if kids come in and they trust you, and they know that if they can tell you, hey, I had 3 hours of, like, for example, we had some girls that had 1-act practice at 6 in the morning. No, Dazzler. So they had cheer practice at 6, basketball until about 6 o'clock at night, and then 1-act practice until 8:30. Like, they did that all week. Like, what are we doing? Okay, so again, like, if they can trust you and be like, oh, I'm tired. Well, yeah, you should be, right? If they can trust you, then again, they're gonna buy in. Like, parents are gonna buy in, people are gonna buy in. That it's gonna be a good deal for you, right? So again, to me as a strength coach and athletic director, if you have a pulse on kind of what's going on, just you don't necessarily have to, like, go with your plan, right? Like, you might have, like, well, we were gonna squat today. Well, we're not gonna squat today, right? That's just out. We're gonna actually do something different. We're gonna do some mobility or just work on some other things. So once kids know that and you're doing that, again, they're gonna trust you. It's just gonna be a better situation, okay? And that's how you actually bring programs together, because actually coaches know that you're doing that as well. And then talk about, again, as an athletic director, I want to talk with coaches about scheduling. Like, who do you want to play? What do you have issues with our schedule, et cetera? That's not really that important. But if there's any wish lists or issues, I want to know. Open door policy. We also get gear, and the gear that I'll get coaches is not anything specific. It's just athletics, right? Or activities, like Osceola activities, like, bring them together. It's one motto: we're all one. And again, to me as an AD, if we can just start that common verbiage of just, hey, we're all one, we're all sharing kids, we're doing what's best for kids. Okay, that's the commonality that we all share. Okay. Social, again, I arrange gatherings. I think a lot of times we don't see people in another light, right? So we always see people professionally, but hey, let's get together. Like, let's go have a beer somewhere. That's okay, right? Social gatherings are good. And I arrange a lot of these after games. We'll maybe go to a happy hour. We don't really talk about work. It's just get to know people outside, which is nice. And you can do that as a strength coach too. It's not just an athletic director. I did that as a strength coach also. Get people together. Get your coaches together. Be a part. That's pretty powerful, okay? Because they know that you are part of their staff and you're working with their kids. I always check in on coaches, how they're doing. I haven't done this yet, but I'm a pretty big fan of the Strength Finder test, okay? And also as, like, coaching staff, if you can start talking about what people are good at, like, I think my top one is, like, positivity. Other people, they have other strengths that I don't. Like, some people, I think woo was my last one. I just don't care. Like, I do that, probably not fair, but just, like, I just go, right? So I'm not really that, if you're not good, anybody take the Strength Finder test? So it's, a woo is like, you really, like, kind of, you want to please people. Yeah. So you can take those, you can take my positivity, you can take someone that does this, and then you can start working together in terms of their strengths, okay, and use people. That's one of my goals there at Osceola is to do this. Like, how are we going to use each other to get better, okay, and make programs better? Go to all events. Again, I go to 1-act. I go to concerts. Like, just be there, be present. And then the last one, like, tough conversations, you got to have them. Okay. I know I've been around some administrators that just they're not very good at this, but you got to sit down and have them. Okay. And they're needed. Okay. but again, that's part of bringing programs together. Because again, if you want them on your bus, okay, and if they're not going to get on your bus, if they're not going to be positive and do some of the things that you're working with, because they're making kids better, sorry, right? I mean, it's time. You gotta get on the bus, okay? And again, you can't please everyone. Don't try to do it all. Again, have a goal. Do what's best for kids. That's what we do. Do what's best for kids. Okay. I think I'm running out of time. Okay, last step, find a way to bring people together, find commonalities, celebrate improvements, always focus on the positive, always do what's best for kids, surround yourself with like-minded people who are going to make you better, get on the bus, bring people with you, teach leadership, collaborate often, get involved and go see your athletes. Boom. Any questions? You can do it. I'm telling you, as a strength coach, you are in a position that you can bring every program together, okay? And I've seen it. It can be done. That's why it's so awesome that you're here and that you're in this profession, okay? Because we're all trying to make kids better. We're all trying to do what's best for kids. There's my contact info. Any questions? Questions. Still can't believe I got a little emotional over RPR. Jeez. Happened. Do there, right?
Your time working with sports coaches, is there a particular conversation that you're just like, you know what, I just don't want to go down this road? Like, maybe when you're younger in your career, like, yeah, sure, we have this conversation. Like,
Yeah.
every time you revisit that type of conversation, like,
Yeah.
a certain category or topic or
Trying to think of any like specific categories. I know, so one of the big ones I would say in the last probably 3 to 5 years is, so kind of the shift in strength and conditioning is more in like movement and moving fast and making that transfer over to the field. You get a lot of coaches that they don't like that. They want to see how much you can bench and squat and deadlift, right? Which again, like you can put that in your program, that's okay. But in the end, like we're trying to make them better movers. So those have been hard conversations. Like I mean, I've had to kind of drop the card a couple times of like, I'm sorry that you think that this is good now, but that was like 30 years ago. You know, we're moving on as a profession. This is what's now. And I've also had conversations where it's like, if you want to go to a clinic or a camp, like we can go together. And it's not just me saying this. Like, get out there and learn and see what we're doing. But yeah, those conversations have had to happen, and they're hard because, I mean, I don't really get it, but I mean, if that's what you did when you grew up, you know, then you kind of think that that's the way things should be now, you know. But yeah, those are hard. Yes.
what aspect of conditioning do you think best prepared you to be a
Probably just the fact, just working with all the kids, like working with all the programs, all the kids. Like to me, as a strength coach, you're already kind of an AD, anyways. Like you truly are, because you're trying to organize things for kids and athletes, and then you're also trying to work with coaches. That's what you do as an AD, also. So it's really like it's not that different, other than the scheduling and the paperwork and all that fun stuff, right? But it's not that different. Like it really isn't. Like if you're a good strength coach and you're bringing coaches together, like that's what ADs do, you know, to me. So. What else? Anything? Okay. Thank you.